So this is just looking at the first question around demerit goods. So the demerit good question was around understanding your ability to explain the demerit goods, and the example that was given was around high sugar content drinks and the threat they might pose. So firstly, if you understand the concept, you're able to do a couple of things. You're able to identify, well, it's an example of market failure because there's a difference between the personal costs of drinking high sugar drinks and the difference between the external cost to society of that as well. So that makes it a market failure. And so most people proceed from that to, being able to just have the diagram to explain things here, and explain the kind of what the theory talks about. And then everyone jumps from that point into a couple of explanations of possible solutions. So for this student, this was the first one. The second one talks about, and here talking about possible ways of doing taxes and things. And then most people talk about the third idea was how to, is advertising to do that kind of stuff. And so generally that structure is good. And that structure will get you pretty high up the grade, the mark criteria. The key for most people to sort of jump up is the critical thinkingness. So this is kind of a nice example that I chose because if you read down here, to reduce the consumption of demerit goods like the sugary drinks, government has a few options. They could ban the market for sugary drinks completely. And so that what we need to do is explain what that actually means. So do you mean like to get rid of Coca-Cola, or do you mean get rid of fruit juice, or do you mean something a bit different? Do you mean things like maybe reducing, like legislation to reduce the content of sugar for different drinks, and do you regulate them in such a way? I mean, I don't think this kind of idea up the top here, completely banning, is probably a bit extreme in some senses, but these ideas is more popular to do with reducing the content, maybe the types of sugar that can be included in drinks, or the maximum percentage sugar could be a possible solution. I think most students kind of did this quite well. You talked about maybe the things are kind of addictive. Ideally, what would happen if you tax consumers if it's an inelastic product they're addicted to, the effectiveness of advertising. So this example was pretty good. So the clarity of understanding is really good. I don't think, and you probably agree, it's not the most critical, could be more critical in its evaluation. And then the thing that we all kind of struggle with is the conclusion part here, and is it how rigorous is your final conclusion, and what kind of judgment do you make around what suggestion the government should do? Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of feedback around that style of question.